Hey Simon,
Hello.
how's it going?
Good. Is that a virtual background or does Kaleido Office just look like that?
That is a virtual background. Our offices actually look like. How do I remove the background? Like this.
Not very different, honestly. I was
Very.
just a little surprised you weren't in a conference room.
Yeah. Hey Angelina.
Hi. I love the background.
Okay, I'll put it back on. Okay, we'll give it a minute. I think yeah, there's one thing in the agenda I got. All right, let's get started, I reckon. Um, yeah, I think it's gonna be quite quiet based on the time of year. Hopefully you can see my screen. You can see the wiki. All right. Welcome everyone to the December FireFly Community Call. As usual, we're part of the Linux Foundation, so we have to obey the antitrust policy notice and the code of conduct of the Linux Foundation. We have to respect those as we're industry competitors and just be fair with everyone and respect everyone's opinion. And this meeting is being recorded. So if you do not want to be part of this, please do leave now. So for today, the thing I wanted to raise is we have the Q4 report we need to submit to the TAC, which I have created a HackMD here, a little bit about the project health. So, what have we done the last quarter? I normally fill this in. I don't normally share every quarter. I normally share the annual one just because have a good view of the project as a whole. I thought it'd be good to share the Q4 because it's kind of like closing out a little bit the year. What are the things that we've done in the last quarter? It's been quite quiet, I would say. Um, One of the main things I don't know if people realize, but a lot of folks that haven't joined the community call in a while that want to bring back in have been enhancing the connector toolkit, the one in Golang, to add some changes to the performance and reconciliation. So you can do confirmation of blockchain transactions more easily. And actually, there's a bug here. But also add a patch API. So as a transaction is trying to be submitted on chain, if for some reason it hasn't made on chain and stuff, and you want to patch that with certain parameters such as gas price, then it allows that. So it's agnostic to the blockchain. I know it's quite EVM centric, and Simon has built its own connected toolkit in Rust for Cardano, but maybe some of these learnings could be if applicable to the Cardano one. Um, I guess those are the main things. There is some folks that have started jumping on Discord to help with the UI. So there's one person raising a few PRs against the UI to clean it up. There was another person raising a PR on a manifest publishing. I reviewed that PR 2 weeks ago. There's someone else trying to tackle histograms and trying to move APIs to histograms of events into a more reusable layer. So there's a lot of stuff that I haven't mentioned here of just random contributors coming to me and taking issues that are good first issues or bugs, etc., that we don't really see because they don't join the community calls. They just take an issue and they come up with a PR a week later, a month later. So that's been good. I might mention that. In terms of releases, we haven't done a quarter release. Normally, every quarter we at least get a release out. I would still aim for that. I'll try it, but obviously with the holidays coming, it might be more difficult. So we might see a patch release happening instead in the first quarter of next year. That'll be a one for one, just picking up all the different changes across the board, CVEs, all the different enhancements. I know another maintainer, Chung, is working on some API changes to the toolkit as well for batching. So that might be interesting around how we propagate those. If we try to propagate those all the way up to FireFly Core and see how those work. Um, One of the things that I normally think about when I do this quarterly report, just to overshare, is thinking about the goals we had this year that I set out at the beginning of the year and how we've done so far to those goals. So one of the goals was to continue releasing 1.3 releases, and we actually did the 1.4, right? So we did that 1.4.0 um, with Cardano, and we've done multiple 1.3.x releases. I've personally been joining a lot of different conferences and communities showcasing Firefly and showcasing all the connectors and all the power of it. There's a lot of people using it. I didn't realize. Just a funny story. I was at a conference in Brazil a couple of weeks ago. Was wearing the Firefly t-shirt, and some guy just came up to me and went, "Oh my God, I'm using Firefly from my university. Like our master degree is using Firefly." For this huge project. Like we're all running it. It's great. We're doing some performance with Firefly and EVM, specifically Besu. Like I'd love to contribute. Like, yep, feel free to raise an issue. Like we have a performance CLI. So there's a lot of people using it. So one of the things I will look into next year, and I'd love some inputs from you all, is around having an adopters MD file on our core repo to understand who's actually using the project because a lot of people using it that don't specifically share on Discord, but they do come up to me or they send me a private message saying, "Oh, it's great. I'm using this, that. Thank you so much. Like I've been using it for a number of years. It's powering my X project." So I want them to get more involved into the community and come to these calls as well. There was a plan to do Firefly improvement proposal 18, improvement request, sorry, 18, which was around exposing raw blockchain data more easily. So streaming confirmations of transactions in blocks more easily. There was some work at the beginning of the year done in the toolkit, specifically in the Golang one, but it's not closed out. We had the onboard the Cardano connector. We did do that. Diversity maintainer, we did get Simon for kind of free with Cardano, but I think we need to work a bit more on how we onboard new maintainers. The OpenSSF scorecard, actually, the score has gone down. You'll see me over the next few days merging loads of different CVEs across the board to bump that scorecard, especially specifically in Firefly Core. If you do, I know we had a conversation about different repos having their own OpenSF scorecard. So feel free if you have put that Simon in Cardano. I'll check the Tezos one. I'll put the scores in here. And one of the big ones that we didn't tackle this year was working on moving Firefly to its own organization in GitHub. So this is something I've mentioned in the past on community calls, something that Rai really wants to happen. It's quite a lot of work, specifically for packages. I didn't get a chance to do it yet, but it's something that I think we as maintainers we should and contributors we should really think what would be the plan. So I think one of the key things might be to just have a plan as an issue of what does it mean to move organizations, and we can start documenting those efforts, and we can tackle it at the beginning of next year. In terms of maintainer diversity, we do have four different companies. Some contribute more than others. There's loads of stats on the Linux Foundation. I've shared a few here around. I think there's been less contributions in the last quarter, just because I think sometimes the project is quite mature and being used a lot. So there isn't a lot of like substantial re-architectures and substantial changes. It just fixes it around. There are some new changes in the toolkit that add new functionality. So you don't get a lot of active contributors. I do see a bit more of the organizations just being higher in December, just because of this new like UI changes and new people trying to try new things out. But that's mainly it. I think there hasn't been that much the last quarter, I would say. We'll try to get a patch release, I hope, at the beginning of the year. And yeah, I've continued to just spread the word of Firefly conferences and just helping out in Discord. I've seen a lot of stuff around Fabric actually in the last few months. I did put a PR up to fix some Fabric changes in the CLI. I think that we did that last week. So that might be something to focus on next year, understanding where people are and how are using the Fabric connector and what sort of issues they're encountering there. I guess any thoughts for anyone? Anything I've missed substantially this year or the last quarter of things I should mention here? Specifically, yeah, here. All right. I guess I got everything. I'll probably raise this week. It's overdue from a couple of weeks. I was traveling, but I'll raise this week against the TAC, and then we'll get a review from them on our Q4. But it should go quite smoothly. Another thing I think that would be useful next year, just thinking out loud, is yeah, understanding our maintainer diversity and where we have maintainers in different like code bases, understanding what is our spread of maintainers and looking at also the activity of each maintainer, because obviously we have a policy of maintainers have to be active in the projects. I guess that's it from my side. Does anyone else have anything else for today? Any other questions, concerns they want to raise?
Nothing here.
Nothing there, right? Any expected new changes to the Cardano connector, or we're still kind of like just keeping it up to date and stuff and no real big changes there?
Just keeping it up to date. I'm still waiting for the TX3 project to get incorporated into the Balius library we're using, but it's still not there. That's the only major change I see incoming, and it's blocked.
Yeah, the TS3 guys, they're the TX Spy price guys, right?
Yep, all the same company.
Yeah. I met them in person. They're cool guys.
TX3.
Oh, TX3, sorry. Yes. Anything from you, Angelina?
Nope, nothing from my side.
Okay, I know that PR that you have is still that closed. I you're making me think that the barrier to entry is quite high, to learn about all the end to end. So that's something we should, if you want to make some feedback, if you want to raise an issue on like just how difficult it is sometimes to contribute, that might be useful to lower the barrier of entry to someone else. Because I know you picked what seemed to be a simple task has gotten to be quite tricky in the end because of all the different moving pieces. So yeah, I hope the next issue you do pick up is a lot more straightforward.
Yeah, Windows does not like testing the workflows at all. I would say that's the biggest problem. I'm actually trying to run the workflow myself, the end to end. Every time I do, I get an error execute one, and then it tells me failure. Does not give me any indication of what that failure could be. So I'm
Okay.
assuming it's most likely the failure that is present on GitHub. So as of right now, I'm just trying to go in and debug what that failure is exactly. The other
Is it,
issue, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, is there a way you could run the workflow on your fork? Um,
Um,
so by manually running the GitHub actions on your fork.
yeah. Yeah, that's where I've been doing it, and unfortunately, it says at the end error, job end-to-end test failed. It doesn't tell me why it failed. I did have to run the command a little differently with Act. Traditionally, I know Act is obviously ACT and then .github/workflows and then the name of the workflow. However, that does not work on a Windows machine. You actually have to add a flag to some of the act commands. I had that same problem in another repository I'm working on. That's how I figured that out. But when I flag it with just something as of right now, it does seem to run the workflow, but it doesn't give me any indication as to what the failure is in the workflow, and that's what's been taking me a little longer.
Okay, I wonder if let me just check. So the one you're running is this one, which is the end to end. So one way you could do this, so this actually runs a script called test end-to-end runtime sh. Um, the reason I said ACK is because it runs all the different test suites, so all the multi-party gateway, all of them. But I think you can probably narrow your issue down to a single one and run it with this. And you have to give it which test you want to run, which stack, so Ethereum, for example, which database. Do you want to build Firefly from scratch? I don't think you need to because you're only changing tests in the CLI. And the restart is if it's already running, do you want to restart it? Um, I think you can maybe rely on this script instead of dealing with Act. You might still have issues with this script. I remember you were having issues with also Go test, right?
Yes, I think the Go testing, I believe I fixed that. I haven't had the opportunity or to retry that again. I've just mostly been focusing on the workflow as of now. But the one that you pointed out is different than what I'm running, so I'm wondering if maybe I'm just running the wrong thing.
Okay, let me point you at this in Discord. So you can run this manually locally to run the test. So what it does, it just uses the Firefly CLI, as you know, to spin up a Docker Compose with all the components, and then it'll run these like test suites here, which are like gateway, multi-party, etc. And really, the one we're looking at is that reload of the config end-to-end test, which I think is done in the gateway version. But I'll double check after the call, and I'll share it to you on Discord.
Okay, I think what I'm doing is running the workflow that's in Firefly CLI, not Firefly itself. So that would be the end-to-end .yaml file that I've been trying to run on yeah, right there. Yep, that one. That's the one.
Ah,
That
okay.
one is the one that's been giving me problems.
But
It tells me there's an error, but it doesn't tell me what it is. It
but
just says something's not recognized, but I'm not sure why because I thought all type errors would have already been taken care of.
okay, just FYI, this one actually runs the same script. It actually
Okay.
clones Firefly core, and
Okay.
then it runs that same run sh script.
Okay. So maybe it's just something in here that I'm not seeing when I run it. I'll
I
try to
think,
rerun it again and see what happens.
well, what would be useful is try to run it directly without act, just with the run sh and with the environment variables you need. So the specific Ethereum connector stack, which test, just pick the simplest one, which I think it's the gateway, this one, the gateway end to end. Basically, you can just copy this specific config as environment variables, and then you can run tests in the test folder, internal folder, run sh, and that should work. I know these tests have been flaky for a while. They mostly pass, but I know they've been flaky for a while. So if you do find errors, do put them on Discord. But I will start a thread
Okay.
after the call, just pointing you at all of this so you remember.
Yeah, I did find the link that you provided on GitHub. That was perfect. Thank you so much. It steered me in the right direction. I was testing the wrong thing at first. So ever since then, I've just been trying to work and figure out what specifically the integration tests are like not catching or maybe overriding. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because
It
your
just seems to be
PR.
the same exit code. It's failure exit one, but it never tells you what the failure. Oh, it says error. Stack Firefly end to end does not exist.
Okay. The other issue you're having here as well, now that I realize, is these are all okay. We can rerun all of these. So there was a bug with the. I've actually fixed this last week. Um, I updated Docker file with the latest versions of stuff. So some of these jobs will actually build Firefly
Okay.
as part of it. So we'll rerun this. You'll get a fresh new set of logs that you can look at.
Okay.
Um, and then also try and run that script locally. And I think it'll help you more. So I'll link it
Yeah.
in Discord or the PR or both, to get you on blood. Because yeah, I think this has been going on for a long time, almost 6 months. So
Yeah.
I kind of wanna get this in, so we can just close it, and then you can pick up an issue that has less friction. Because I thought this one looked straightforward, but then was either a lot more messier than I thought.
I I personally don't mind. I've learned a lot from it, and it helped me to actually go through the Firefly demo. I found an older video from a couple of years ago. I can't remember his name, but
Nico?
I think so. He actually went through and showed how Firefly nodes interact with each other by sending message. I think they were like topic messages from one node, from like a blue node to a red node and a yellow node. So
Yeah,
it actually steered me down that path. So I was actually able to learn how Firefly works as a whole in that respect. So I'm
that's cool
grateful for it.
actually.
I learned a lot. So
Okay, I actually don't know which video exactly. So if you want to send it on Discord, I can add it to documentation. I think documentation needs a bit of maybe linking to YouTube or something would be good.
yeah, of course. Of course. Let me see. Actually, I was actually watching it the other day. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I'm on the Firefly page. I practically live in this documentation. Let's see. Oh, getting started. Here we go. Install. I'll just go through. And then it looked like it might have been from a few years ago, but
Yeah, it's probably
this
from
is it.
at least a couple of years ago. So if you want to send
Okay.
it on Discord, or if you want to raise a
Yeah.
PR, I think we do have. So if we just quickly go to documentation, this might be a PR that you can raise against here. I actually don't know if we have a section around, you see, I don't know if we actually have anything on YouTube here. We don't link to YouTube anywhere.
I shared the link in the chat. If you hit getting started and then if you go through all the steps, you'll actually get to the video at the very end. I just happened to find it when I was trying to set it up on Windows and I had a little bit of trouble. Yep, there it
Oh,
is.
this one. Okay, so we do. Yeah,
Yeah.
this
So I
one
think at
has been a
about,
while. Look, I for some reason I end up to 46 minutes.
no, you're
Yeah,
good. About 42 minutes in was where he had finished the tutorial, but I think in the beginning he had actually gone through it. I know that was that video, and then there was another video on YouTube that I had found of somebody, it might have been Nico, going through the process, setting it up on a machine and so forth.
Yeah, because we have a whole
Hello, I'm Danielle.
um this might be interesting in the future if we do any webinars and stuff. I don't think we've done anyone with Cardano connector yet, but I think we have a playlist in here where normally all of our video goes to.
Hmm.
And before
Yep,
the
Fireflies is down there.
there's a community call one, but there's
Yeah.
also I don't know if it's maybe they're under the community calls. I don't remember. We might have put everything in here actually. No, these are just here. Okay, maybe there's a way for us to add to the documentation just a little line that says if you want to see more videos, maybe workshops.
So
Yeah, I think video tutorials would actually be very helpful, especially to newcomers who are visual learners. I myself am very visual, so when working with Firefly and especially when getting started with that very first issue I think I had started with, I can't remember exactly. Um, it was really nice to see everything
This is
in
it.
real time and go through. Yeah, it might have been. Oh yeah, there's the playlist.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the videos I found was in there. I think it had like a
all
picture of
right,
him on it on that first video. Yeah, one of those two. And I think, if correct me if I'm wrong, but I think once he got like an hour in, I want to say,
Yeah, so here you
get
have
started
both Nico and
acting.
Peter talking about Firefly. Cool. So yeah, I think what might be useful if you want, Angelina, so you can get a first PR into Firefly Core is just updating the docs with some sort of link to this playlist for people to take a look. Maybe something around here if people want to look at more logs or somewhere. I know we have some, I think, in the architecture. Yeah, the architecture, I remember we have quite detailed videos on how sequencing works inside Firefly, which are quite complex components.
I was
Uh,
gonna say possibly to put it in the contributors section. That way, if people are looking for more information, or maybe even the getting started, just in case they're looking for like a deeper understanding, that they have that visual aspect that they can refer to.
yes, I think
I'm
this
not
video is good
sure.
for getting started because it gives a high level overview.
Yes,
Um,
that was perfect for me.
Okay. Yes, that's really good feedback. Cool. Okay. Let's think about where we want to put it. If it's contributors, is it
Mm,
FAQs? Is it how do I learn more? It might be an FAQ. Like
yeah,
where can I learn
FAQ.
more? And we link it to the YouTube playlist here.
Hmm.
All right, cool. Okay, that was useful. I'll just put that on the agenda. Maybe something around.
Yeah, if there's any, especially if there's any documentation that we can provide for people coming in who are using Windows, that would be great. I think for a Mac user, everything is pretty much straightforward where they're able to use Homebrew and things like that to install any
Yeah.
packages and dependencies. But for a Windows user, a lot of times most of them will go through the command prompt and they may not consider git bash, or they may not consider the fact that Ubuntu is pre-installed on some of their machines. And especially when it comes to Ubuntu and using Docker on Windows machine, there's a lot, I don't know what the specific word is, a lot of up and down with that in terms of running Ubuntu and Docker at the same time, but you kind of sort of need to in this environment because Docker is needed to, especially to run that workflow. So any Windows documentation we can provide, I feel like that
Okay.
might be really helpful for newcomers, especially.
Do we have? Yeah, we don't really have an issue for Windows documentation. I've seen a few people try Windows. I've tried it myself and it's worked. In terms of just running, I don't think I run Ubuntu. I think I run Linux WSL2, which I think it might be Ubuntu
Yeah,
actually. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, this is
I
the one I tried.
Yeah, I believe WSL runs through Ubuntu for me, if I'm not mistaken. At least that's the error that I continuously get from Docker is to restart Ubuntu. So, yep, there it is.
Yeah, I thought it was Ubuntu.
Apparently, I guess there's a disconnect between Ubuntu and Docker when it comes to WSL. Eventually, I did get over it. It took me a little bit, a
Oh
lot of
no, they have
searching.
They have their own distro type called WSL2. It's not Ubuntu. So that's the one we normally link to, which is a different distro when installing the Linux distribution.
Oh, okay. Okay,
So
I
it's
might be using
different.
another version of WSL then.
Yeah. Okay. I do think raising an issue um, in Firefly around Windows documentation might be really,
Hmm.
really useful. It doesn't have yourself, you don't have to pick it up to do it, but if you want, you can, or someone else can that comes along and wants to do Windows.
Yeah, I can put something together and try to create an issue for it, and then I'll leave it open and see. I think it might actually be something good for a newcomer, especially when it comes to helping them set up their environment, would be a good way for them to learn if they're brand new. So I can, but I'll put something together and try to keep it as a first issue for newcomers.
Yeah, and also this one, I just remember this one also around file paths. Um,
Yes. Yes. What Windows doesn't so there's the forward slash and the backslash. The backslash, I believe, is the one that, or no, I think it's the forward slash that Windows has a hard time resolving because a majority of the code I think is written with backslashing. So from my research, from what I read from Stack Overflow and other places is that for whatever reason, Windows can't resolve these paths. So when you put them in, you kind of have to do them just a little bit differently. I did eventually get around all of that, though. Yeah, I did. I got around all of that by, I just ended up having to use Ubuntu in the end. That was I think, April
gotcha. Okay,
30th.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was before I found Ubuntu. After I found
Okay.
Ubuntu, I was able to get through a good bit of or get past a good bit of those issues that were mentioned right there.
Yeah, I think the CLI doesn't actually, yeah, you need a WSL environment. So yeah, feel free to close this one if it's no longer applicable if you got past it.
Yeah, I can close that out.
Okay, cool. All right, that was useful. Okay, so yeah, so there's how do you do playlists, maybe in the contributors FAQ, and then a new issue for getting started in Windows with more detail. More detail. Oh, sorry. Today we only have a use WSL section, but we could link or write section with more detail there. Okay, cool. Anything else?
No, that was it for me. I'm still waiting for those tests to run. I'm wondering if they finished or not. Let me see.
All right,
Oh
cool.
no. Okay.
All right, so yeah,
Okay, yeah.
ping me on Discord, and I'll link you to that run sh article.
Okay, that's fine. The workflows, so a good majority of them do pass now. There are only about seven failing ones. It says fail test Ethereum gateway legacy ETH entry and suite. So that will be, I guess that will be something unknown namespace end to ends. Okay, so I guess it's having an issues with namespaces. So I guess I will go in and
Okay. This might be yes, this is related to your reset stuff.
yeah.
So this is where we add and remove namespaces. And then this is related to the reset stuff that you're adding to the auto reload reset stuff. So
Okay.
yeah, definitely look into this one because this is the original error that we had from the Firefly issue. So if I go back just quickly to Firefly, if we look at the issue you picked up, which was the one around, let me just look for Windows, I'll find it, which is this one. Was it this one? No. Oh, this one, 1615. No, 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 no. We closed this one and we raised a different one. I don't remember what the issue one.
Let me see if I've got it.
Yeah, so I think the log lines were there. Actually, we go to your PR, new branch, create friend to test fill with new namespaces. which is this one. I can move those to run. And this one, 1545, this one. So you see how we're calling the status and we're
Mm-hmm.
getting null, and here we're getting unknown namespace, right? So this is the same error.
Okay.
So yeah, you might need to change the workflow. You see there you go. The test says deprecated reset API cannot be used when dynamic config reload is enabled, which is what you've done. You've enabled automatic
Yeah.
config reload. So now um, it's trying to fetch it and can't find it, and it's going too quickly. So the auto reload is not kicking in.
Okay.
So we need
Okay.
so this is
I'll
like a combination of you fix the reset stuff in FireFly core test, so we don't do that anymore. But the CLI is using a previous version of this. So you have to run that run sh locally at the version of this PR you had, which is this one. Because here you removed, so in here, files changed. I don't know why you have 45 files changed here, but
hmm.
you remove this.
Yeah.
Where is it? Inside the end-to-end test.
I think it's Stack Manager, was it? Something like that.
One sec. Need to. But this should just be the end-to-end tests. Okay, I'm gonna have to read this again because this is just part of the end-to-end test, which is not here. It's in I thought you were changing the end-to-end test failures here on this PR. Did you change? Yeah. Sorry. So it's this test here inside the end-to-end, but I don't see that being changed by your PR on Firefly. So basically, because you've set up the auto reload, we don't need to call that reset API anymore. So you need to check that those tests are using your Firefly CLI version, which they should be because it's running on the PR. The auto reload is being set, and then you need to run that against your branch of the main Firefly where we've removed the reset call in the end-to-end.
Okay.
Um,
So it's the end to end. It's the test file that I need to check.
it's the end-to-end test file, yeah. So it'll be
Okay.
inside end-to-end. But I'll reread this after the call to make sure I'm saying the right thing.
Okay, not a problem. I'll keep an eye out for your messages on GitHub and Discord.
Cool. All right. Sounds good. I guess Simon's dropped, but yeah, I'll end the call there. Yeah. Thanks for joining. I hope you have a good Christmas and New Year, and we'll see each other again in the January community call.
Thank you. You too. Have a happy holidays.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye.